The suspect has been seen dragging the victim, who is his ex-partner, into the home address. She's been shouting for help.
It's been a busy shift, and this is the unit's last call-out.
Currently a domestic abuse team at Ellen Road, so we deal with arrest inquiries that has a domestic element to it.
Between October 2021 and March 2022, there were more than 500,000 recorded offences of violence against women and girls. That's 16% of all recorded crime. But the main focus of this new report is police-perpetrated violence against women and girls. It's the first national assessment of its kind, and it focuses on that same 6 months. The criticism that has been levelled at policing in general, how does that sit with you?
I can't take it to heart. We're all individuals at the end of the day. We put on a uniform and do what we do for the love of the job. We're here to help people and do the best we can do. And if one bad apple puts a taint on all of it, we're all here to try and recover that.
New data shows that 653 conduct cases relating to violence against women and girls were brought against 672 individuals by police forces in England and Wales. Of the conduct cases, 167 have been resolved, with 13 officers and staff sacked. There were also 524 complaints made by members of the public against 867 officers and staff in the same period. The complaints related to various allegations including sexual harassment and sexual assault. For the public complaints, 91% ended with no further action and no officers or staff sacked. 63% of the complaints from the public were accusations over use of force. West Yorkshire Police invited us to film the work they've been doing to tackle this issue, including listening circles for women to confidentially share their experiences at work. Even today, a former West Yorkshire police officer was given a suspended sentence after admitting a number of sexual offences, while another officer will stand trial later this year on a rape charge.
There are multiple cases of officers from this force who have been involved in sex crimes. Do you think that's the tip of the iceberg?
What I will say is that over the past 18 months there has been a real positive change in our professional standards department, directorate, and how cases are investigated. We have seen an increase, tripled in the past 18 months, and I think things like the active bystander work, the listening circle, has helped with people having the trust and confidence to come forward.
And when you say you've seen an increase, what specifically are you referring to?
In VAUG-related crime.
Does that worry you?
I don't want there to be any, but if people are feeling more trusted internally to come forward, then that is a good thing. But I want to talk about all the positive stuff that we're doing externally as well.
So you can't confidently at the moment say that your ranks are free of officers who commit acts of violence against women and girls?
We represent the public and we are doing all that we can.
Now, the issue of data collection is crucial. The consistency of collection, the quality, the management, all of those things, the report says, are almost certainly poorly managed by police forces. It goes on to assess that this puts up a barrier to services being delivered properly and even the design of crime prevention tactics. Data on victim ethnicity is often not captured reliably across forces.
We've been saying for a really long time that we can't tell if outcomes are as good for black women, for minoritised women, for other marginalised groups, because that data is completely missing. And yet progress on data collection has been really poor and it hasn't been a priority.
Violence against women and girls is now considered a national threat, just like terrorism and serious organised crime. Next month comes a government assessment of the scale of that violence.
Well, joining me now is Deputy Chief Constable Maggie Blythe from the National Police Chiefs Council. She's the National Police Lead for Violence Against Women and Girls. Now, this report finds there's a culture in which perpetrators think they can get away with it. They don't just think they can get away with it, do they? They do get away with it.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on this evening. Behind all of these figures and all of this data today are real victims, and that is really concerning and I think quite disturbing for people hearing the report. So just in terms of some context, the reason and the purpose of actually publishing this data today is because policing wants to be transparent about what it is doing, recognising the epidemic that is violence against women and girls, the 500,000 violence against women and girls offences in that 6-month period. It's about 16% of recorded crime, so it is a real significant threat in terms of crime in this country. We also know, and we can see from the figures today, that we have amongst our workforce some perpetrators of these types of crimes, and we don't want to have police officers or staff working in us who are guilty of those sorts of crimes.
The ones you find. What about the ones that you don't find? The report says they think they're getting away with it, but they are getting away with it, aren't they? There are people who are serving in the police who commit violence against women and girls who are still there.
And I think we have to accept that some officers have got away with it over the last few years. We've certainly strengthened in the last year our approaches in a number of ways. First of all, identifying who potential and real perpetrators are, and strengthening, as we saw on the clip just now, the counter-corruption units, the professional standards departments that can join the dots around the intelligence to make sure that we know who is causing a problem. And then also strengthening the vetting and toughening up on the sanctions, because ultimately we want these people not in policing.
But never mind rooting out officers like David Carrick and Wayne Couzens. Why on earth would a woman who believes a police officer has been violent towards them, either sexually or otherwise, come forward to you when this data shows that the police almost always dismiss them?
I think the message I would have to women today is have a look at the report and have a look at the complexity of the data within that, because we are wanting to be transparent about the picture, the baseline as of a year ago, so that we can track what we think will be progress as we move forward with the measures we're taking. And just in terms of that 91% of no further action, that's referred to, there's two sets of data in this report. One is public complaints, really important that the public can complain, and also internal misconduct. So the 91% of no further action was only on the public complaints that were concluded in that period of time.
Where the public do complain, there's not been a single instance of a police officer or member of the police workforce being sacked.
I think, again, just to reiterate, only half the cases had concluded in that period of time, so some were still ongoing. Nonetheless, it is really serious, and I think we wanted to put that data out today because we recognise how upsetting and disturbing this is. We don't want to have people amongst us who are found guilty of these types of crimes and should be dismissed from the organisation. So we really recognise that.
Are the police institutionally misogynistic?
We know, and we saw in the clip today, that we will represent the society we're in, and we know that misogyny and sexism is rife in our society. Therefore, it is amongst us in policing. We don't think we are organisationally misogynistic, but we do think there are traits within our organisation of sexism or sexualised behaviour or misogyny that we need to get rid of.
Do you think you even know the true scale of this? Because this report suggesting that the data just isn't complete.
And we accept in this report that there may be, firstly, women who don't come forward to report, and secondly, there may be more, this is the tip of the iceberg. Even in the last year, we've seen the numbers of women coming forward internally and externally reporting behaviour that they don't think is acceptable. We think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but the measures we're putting in place, we think will make it better.